You think I want to hear this? So I blamed myself for years.
Have you ever wanted something and it was the thing for you? You see a beautiful garden, a beautiful house, a beautiful immaculate car, a beautiful vacation, the ideal things that we want for ourselves. And we know that that is just for us. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I need in my life. We all have been at that place where we desire things that seems ideal. But have you ever obtained those things, the very thing that you wanted, that you desired, that you thought were ideal for you, and then didn't quite know what to do with it? That's what we're going to talk about today, so let's get into it. So the reason why I'm asking you this question is because we've all been there and we know we can imagine what that feeling is like. Wanting something that we think is ideal, knowing that that is the perfect thing for us, and the discrepancy between having that thing and knowing how to treat that thing. So I'm going to share with you a very touching, very heartfelt video from a young woman who's been married for some years and she's just struggling in her marriage. And then I'm going to share with you how those two things, this video and wanting something and not quite knowing how to deal with it or how to bring it to pass, correlates.
No one talks about the feeling when you finally get put first in your relationship. Yesterday I was mad at my husband and my husband was like, what's wrong? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, talk to me. And I was like, no, it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. And he was like, well, if you don't talk to me, like, how are we going to work through it? Like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I promise you, like, it really doesn't matter. And he was just like, well, why won't you talk to me? I was like, well, maybe it's because all those years that you shut me down. If I ever felt sad about something or if I was going through something, I never felt comfortable enough to come talk to you about it because you always made me feel like I was nagging. Even though I was telling you at the time that I wasn't nagging, that I'm just talking to you. Your response is, I'm working. I've been on the phone all day with angry customers and you think I want to hear this? So I blamed myself for years. I was like, you know what? Maybe it is me. Maybe I'm unhappy. So maybe if I get my life together and I was to lose weight, maybe I'll be more pleasant for you to want to be around or to talk to. Like, to be quite honest, everything that you went through, that you're traumatized from, I suffered for it. I remember we had a really bad year of I was just straight invisible to you. You had no respect for me at all. I remember on Valentine's Day, I was like, I tried to hint to you. I was just like, oh, I wish I had someone to make me feel special on Valentine's Day. And your response was, it's just a day. Don't get caught up in the hype. And then you turned around and sat there and bragged to me about how you bought your mother a bouquet of roses and a large card. And I was like, well, damn, babe, like, you didn't have to throw it in my face. And you yelled at me talking about, I'm sorry that I tried to make my mother, who just lost her husband of 37 years, feel better. And I was like, well, you know what, what about me? You know what I'm saying? And he just act like I was the most selfish person in the world to ask that question. And you was like, well, I'm trying to talk to you right now. And I said, well, I'm at work right now. Because of the old me, I would have told my coworkers, hey, I'll be back. I'm going to run to the restroom. And I would have held the phone and I would have talked to you. Because you finally making time for me. I got to stop what I'm doing because you making time for me. I have to be honored that you making time for me right now because you're the best, the biggest thing in this world. You know how you love somebody more than you love yourself? And it's like, I done lost everything. My mom's dead. My granny's holding on by a thread. I don't have any friends because I lost them all for him. But, you know, you want to talk. He want to talk. But I already died.
Wow. She already died. That's hard. I totally understand where she's coming from. I've heard lots of women in this predicament, And one of the top reasons why I'm sharing this is because I want you ladies to know that you are not alone when you are feeling these things or experiencing these things. There are many women out there that are in similar predicaments, but we don't have to endure quietly like this. We do not have to give up all of our friends and our relationships for our marriage. It is a way in which we deal with things that need to be changed. And that's kind of what I want to address right now. It doesn't mean that what the man is doing is right. It doesn't mean that, or something else that we have to do to fix everything. Well, I mean, what's the alternative? A lot of the comments in this particular video said, no girl, comment in these, the predominant comments was, you need to leave. You need to look out for yourself. It was something along those lines. But there is another way. You don't always have to leave your relationships, give up on the idea of being married, and all those things. You don't have to do that. So, first, I want to point out that the statement that her husband made was, unless you talk to me, I won't know. It's very true. It's very closed mouths don't get fed. We all know this, absolutely. But I can understand on the flip side of it, she had been trying to talk to him for some time. She had been trying to communicate and tell him the things that bothered her or so on and so forth, and he said that she was nagging. So at some point in time, she stopped trying. This is where we have to stop everything. Okay, if you're trying and he's saying you're nagging, let's examine how are you talking to him. Let's examine what in what you're saying does he feel like you're nagging him with. Do you wait for the appropriate time to say what you're saying? If he's saying that, okay, I'm tired, I'm getting off of work, you've been listening to customers, whatever the excuse, then okay, talking to him after work doesn't work. He's already pent up, he's already exhausted, so that's not the ideal time. Even if you've been sitting at home all day or whatever you've been doing, and it seems like you've been working, so even if you've worked all day, similar to him, and you've been thinking about things that you want to discuss with him, and you finally get home, you're full of your thoughts, you're full of the conversations, the monologues that you had in your head. So now you want to kind of rush him with all of it, and he wants to decompress. So maybe after work is not the ideal time. And if you try doing it after work, then he'll say you're nagging him. Okay, I can understand that. So then we can adjust when we're talking to him. We can make date nights, or oftentimes I say you want to best position your husband for a conversation. So I will make my husband's favorite meal. I will massage his feet. I will make sure he's completely relaxed. I will maybe watch a comedy special with him or something. I will absolutely get him into a pleasant mood before I broach any topic that I've been holding on or waiting to discuss with him. And so now that he's laughing and he's, maybe full because we finished eating or we finished doing some other things, after all those things have taken place and I know that he's in a good place, then I try to gently say, hey, I really want to talk to you about XYZ. And he's likely in a more receptive mood or place to receive or to converse with me. Now, I know this is not what we want to hear. We want to be able to talk whenever we want to talk, how we want to talk, all those things. But it's better to position ourselves so that we can be heard and we don't feel neglect. We don't feel shut, unimportant, ignored, all the things that she expressed in that particular video. So that's one suggestion that I have for you, that maybe you can just change things a little bit with your approach to your husband. So that's just one. Another thing is, what words are we using? Are we using abrasive words? What tone do we have? Do we have an attitude? I can imagine we get stirred up. As women, we get stirred up we're impassioned about something. We're upset, we're frustrated, so our tone will not always be the softest, most gentlest thing. But we have to try to choose our words very carefully so that we are not considered abrasive or confrontational or like we're trying to start a fight. And it's very hard to do because our own feelings are involved. The feelings of being neglected, the feelings of being ignored, all those things inside of us, and we start to talk about it, we can become emotional, we can become, our volume can raise, and how we're talking about it, the sway of our neck, our hand movements, all those things kind of contribute to an overall feel for the conversation. So even if you did all those things and you start talking, but you start incorporating some of those things, it could quickly devolve into an argument or back to nagging. So there's a lot of things that can easily get us to a place where he no longer listens. And I understand that, but we must try. And we're not going to get it all right every single time. Maybe focus on one aspect. Okay, I'm going to make sure that, I approach him at the right time. That's what you're going to be working on for the next 2 weeks. I'm going to approach him with something that's bothering me at this particular time, after this situation, after we have a meal, after he had a chance, maybe an hour or two to decompress from work. After set up a rule or a situation where I'm going to set up this situation so that he's in the best position to listen and receive what I have to say. And then after that, maybe 2 weeks, you're working on it, you see improvements in yourself, not necessarily him, but you see improvements in yourself and how you're able to actually get through to him, hold a sustained conversation. Then you try to incorporate, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm, keep that neck roll in check, keep the hands from, doing too much, keep them, maybe you work on the next aspect and the next aspect.
Guys, you do not have to do it alone. You do not have to struggle. Reach out to me, AprilMbakop.com. Married for 25 years. I'm here as your wife coach to help you through the tough spots. Just schedule your call with me. We'll take you from there.
But another thing I want to say about this particular video is the fact that why do we feel like we have to give up all of our relationships for our marriage? I've heard it a couple times, but we absolutely do not have to do this. We do not have to give up friendships, going out with our siblings, our extended family, so we don't have to give up those relationships. We just have to learn more balance. So maybe you can establish date night with your husband. You can tell him, okay, so maybe it's just something, it's more so a communication problem. But as women, we rather just, okay, never mind. I won't even do this. I won't do that. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. And we give up those things. And then we blame our husbands because ultimately we gave it up for him. But he didn't ask us to give up those things. We're sacrificing. We don't have to sacrifice in that way because it won't even be appreciated. Why? Because he never asked for it. He didn't ask for us to give up all of our relationships. So let's stop making sacrifices in this way and then blaming our husbands for it. Maintain your relationships. Call your girlfriend. Find a time. Carve out some time. Hey babe, what you doing? I'm on the phone with my, I'm going out with my girl. We're going to be out this Saturday evening. Whatever the situation and whatever his response is at that particular time, you can just ask him, what's up? What's the problem? Did you have another plan for us this evening? Did you want me to do something else? Would you like to join us? We can make a double date. You can also make him feel included. We don't have to give up our relationships for our marriage, but it's how we are choosing to deal with him expressing something when we do try to maintain a relationship. If he's expressing his unhappiness or if he's somehow comparing the relationship to how you treat him, you say, okay, babe, would you prefer I treat you this way? Would you prefer, just ask the questions. What's bothering you about this particular relationship? What don't you like about this person? Are you concerned with my safety? Do you think she's fake? Start asking questions instead of just immediately letting the relationships go. It's another thing, and I do find it very common for women to just give up all their relationships, but it is not necessary, okay? And then we need to just kind of examine, why are we giving up all of our relationships? And it takes a lot of time to develop and establish relationships between people. And I'll tell you first, from a first-hand experience, I know that once I got married, some of my relationships, they required just too much from me. I had girlfriends that were very needy. They themselves were not married, but I'm married now. So they were still operating where they had a lot of free time and I didn't. So then the complaint became, oh, well, you never have time for me. You never have time to hang out. You never have time for this and that. And I reply, you're right. I don't have as much time as I used to. I don't have as much time because, I'm taking care of my house. I'm taking care of my children. I'm taking care of my husband, and so on and so forth. In that way, we no longer mesh. But I would still love to maintain this relationship with you. It's going to have to be scaled down a little bit more. And she has to understand that. And that's more so between you and the friend that you're talking to. There's been oftentimes when, they will be upset with me, and I would have to just I understand why you're upset. I know I haven't had time recently, but you have to understand these are different walks of life. And then, same situation to your friend. If you were with your husband at this particular time and he needed you, or you had to do something for your children, then you totally would take a rain check. So it's the same for me. It's more so, it's communicating with your friends, it's communicating with your husband, it's being quick to communicate and not necessarily quick to just simply let go. So sometimes, even though we do something for our husbands, we do this because he said that. We do, it doesn't necessarily make it his fault. That's our reaction to him. That's what we have to learn to control, our response. But the reason why I'm pointing this out is because another point I would like to make for this particular video is the fact that sometimes you want something for yourself, but you don't necessarily know how to obtain it. You don't necessarily know how to treat it once you get it. You don't necessarily know how to make the idea and the concept of that thing match reality. So oftentimes our marriages, or oftentimes we see something that's beautiful, a garden, for instance, and we want to build, or we want to grow a garden as beautiful as what we've seen. Strawberries, grapes, blueberries, blackberries, apple trees, pear trees, so on and so forth. We want that for ourselves. We want to be able to go walk out in our backyard and pluck a pear and eat it so fresh and everything. Absolutely. It's a beautiful concept and idea. But anyone who's ever gardened, anyone who has ever tried to grow anything, anyone who has ever tried knows it's not easy. You have parasites, you have disease, you have soil depletion, you have drought, you have so many different things that the soil itself can go through, the plant can go through, before you actually reach a place of flourish, before you actually reach a place of growth. And you have to navigate each of those different challenges. So even though you want this beautiful garden and you imagine it in your mind, you build your vision boards, everything, even though you do that, to get to that actual vision or dream or reality for you, you have to learn about soil, learn about the plants that you're planting, learn about what can be grown together, learn about what you need to do to expel disease, to get rid of pests. There is a lot you need to learn about how to reach that goal. And not even just that, but you literally have to feed it manure, SHIT, the actual shit from cows and chickens and compost and all kinds of things. A lot of things have to die before anything grows. And it's so unfortunate. Or is it fortunate? A lot of things have to die when you want to build a garden before anything grows. And I say that twice because it is the same for our marriages, our relationships at large. When we have children, the old us, the single version of us, the single body, the self-centeredness, the concept of being single dies before you have that baby. You have to fully wrap your mind and your head around the fact that you are now responsible for this baby for the rest of their life. A lot of things die before that baby is brought to life. A lot of sperm cells, a lot of eggs. A lot of things die before we get an actual baby. And oftentimes, when you enter a marriage, different concepts, different ideas, different expectations that you grew up with, that you set on this person before they even knew you existed, all of those things have to die. And instead of killing our relationships with others, instead of just giving up everything, we have to learn to communicate. We have to learn to work through the challenges and the trials and the parasites and the disease and the depletion, and we have to work through them together. And unfortunately, ladies, what we often do, we take on everything as if we're super women. We just solve the problem. We want peace. We are tired of him complaining about us nagging. We're tired of them suggesting or insinuating that it's us that's the problem, or how dare you this and that. And so we just solve the problem ourselves. Okay, we just give up this, give up that. Don't do this, don't go there, don't. We sacrifice our lives. But is that what's really needed? Is that what's really required? Or are we just giving these things up willingly and then becoming resentful? But it's a necessary process when you're in marriage. It's necessary for you to give some aspects, for you to make some changes, for you to learn to communicate effectively. To say something is communicating, but to communicate effectively is better. So instead of simply just giving up everything, let's learn to work together. One of the things I've learned in my marriage and my relationship at large is that communicating is so much easier. It's so much easier to keep trying and keep coming back and keep trying another way, another day, another moment, another time, than to give up everything. And you find yourself alone, empty, tired. You find yourself, you're dead inside when you were just supposed to learn to communicate. That's why my heart goes out to this particular young lady. I wish I could have saved you from all the time you spent hurting. But it's not just you, it's other women that are making the same choices. Why we choose to go this way, I don't know. But let's stop. Let's stop instinctively giving up everything and try communication a different way. Another thing I absolutely learned, I'm telling you ladies, it's hard. It's not easy. But anything worth having is worth working for. We can't be so quick to give up all of our relationships. First, we gave up our friendships for our husband. Then, because everybody says, oh, this and that or whatever, or you need to leave him, or he's never this and that, now you're going to give up your marriage. No, absolutely not. This man has a wife, but he may not quite know how to treat her. He may not quite know how to take the same mannerisms, behaviors, methodologies that he applied to his mother and actually apply it to his wife. There is some kind of disconnect there. And I can understand it because often, we are not growing in homes with husbands and wives. So we don't necessarily witness, we don't see how the implementation is being done. So there is somewhat of a disconnect. And then, unfortunately, maybe at some level, he doesn't quite yet understand how to love his wife, how to show love, how to show commitment. Like, he has to learn. And to be honest with you, ladies, we have to learn as mothers, too, how to love our children. We think it's instinctive, we'll give them everything we want. But we soon learn that if we give them everything that they want, they'll become spoiled. We won't like the people that they become. So not everything in relationships are intuitive, are obvious, some things are counterintuitive. Some things we got to kind of figure it out. We got to figure out how it works. We got to figure out what works for this person, how to maneuver, how to switch it up, how to change it. There's a lot that is at work in these relationships. Let's stop giving up so easily. Let's consider changing our perspectives. let's consider changing our approach. Let's try some different methodologies before we get to the point where, oh, leave him. That can't be your first instinct all the time. It can't. It shouldn't. It literally leaves you alone. If you give up your children when they upset you, trust me, you will not have any children. You will not. If you give up your sisters, your siblings when they upset you, you will not have a sibling. If you give up your job when your boss upsets you, you will not have a job. You will not have money. If we can maintain relationships and things for things that we want, like money, cars, house, and all those things, despite it not going the way that we think it should, despite it not being all that we thought, we must value, cherish our marriages. Somewhere along the way, we have lost, we have forgotten the value. There is a true value to marriage. And I've heard a lot of conversation. There is no real value from marriage. A woman doesn't really benefit. I'm sorry. I don't know who told you that. But a woman benefits greatly from a marriage. Yes, you have to work it. Yes, you have to till the ground. Yes, you have to prune it. Yes, you have to water it. Reposition, uproot, rearrange. You have to do all those things, absolutely. And it's not going to look glamorous. It's not going to look ideal at all times. It's not. But if you work on it, if you be consistent, if you don't let go of it, you will get there. You will absolutely get there. If you are a praying woman and you stay on your knees and you pray, and you keep applying biblical principles to your marriage, and you keep seeking counsel from a wise woman. That's me, older woman, teaching the younger women how to love their husbands. Seeking wise counsel. You will get there, absolutely. I believe in you, and I'm so sorry for this young lady, and I wish I knew her. I wish she could reach out to me, and I could help her navigate back to a place of healing, back to a place of recuperation, back to being revived in her marriage, to her marriage actually thriving. I wish I could reach out to her and speak with her. But if you are in this place, in this position, I hope you take this video as step one. This is step one. Very applicable things that you can do to start making changes today. But then there is also, I'm going to have a book coming up later. It's called House of Words, and it's going to talk about all the different ways that words really contribute to the health, the success, or the failure of our marriages, and so many different things that I have for you ladies. And my desire is to help you to achieve better success in your marriages and in your communities at large, for the people that are looking at you and watching your marriage unfold. I'm reaching through this camera to the women that are out there maybe struggling in this very way, and I hope this video is helpful to you, where you know that you're not alone and someone understands. But these are some actionable things that you can make some changes for. Again, if you're seeking direct, specific advice or counsel, then to go to AprilMbakop.com, visit my website, schedule a call with me so that I can see what's up and help you navigate more specifically for your situation or circumstance. But nevertheless, these videos are also all the things I talk about in my counseling sessions, so I hope you're able to glean a lot from these videos. I would love to hear your comments if you think that some of the points or the tips and tricks I gave you are beneficial or useful. If you've been in this place yourself and how you're able to navigate from it without getting a divorce. So many things I want to hear from you guys, because I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I want this to be interactive, engaging, and so many different things. But that's all I have to say for this particular video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye now.